would-be terroristic scumbags are probably rubbing their hands together this week in New South Wales. So, well done, again, incompetent state government, demonstrating to all and sundry how preposterously unprepared we are. You enduringly half-cut elected pelicans. I'm John Cadogan from Expert.com.au. New cars cheap, but Australia only. Website, code. Last Friday morning, a truck operated by NJ Ashton Group, whom nobody statistically had ever heard of prior to that incident, inconveniently and almost certainly unintentionally sprayed 750 kilos of Satan's fingernails, also known as flock, which is finely shredded scrap steel fragments, all over a 30-kilometre stretch of the M1, which is the northern motorway out of Sydney. Oops-a-daisy. It's really not supposed to happen, you know. It's not in the script generally. Totally flocked up, dude. Flocked up Friday. Flock has a variety of quite clever industro-fun uses, like it goes into friction materials such as brake linings and clutches, things of that nature. It's a reinforcer for plastics and rubbers. Not those rubbers, dude. Your mind doesn't have to be in gutter 24/7. Nobody I know wants any flock in those rubbers. Maybe Satan. He'd want that. I'm talking about flock in general products made of rubber and plastics. Try to keep up. They even stick flock in anti-static flooring for electronics factories and pyro-type manufacturing for grounding, things of that nature. And this is quite sexy to me, they use flock in powder metallurgy as a binder for sintered components. Imagine that. Your discarded tomato tin from last night might be reborn, resurrected like Jesus. Only instead of in Jerusalem, inside gears or bushings or timings, sprockets and endless things of this nature. To me, flock is therefore miraculous, but not when you spray it over 30 kilometres of freeway. That sucks. 300 vehicles ultimately had their tyres punctured southbound. In some cases, all 4 tyres, which is a problem. And this happened between a place called Palmdale and Mount White. This main transport link from Centrelink by the sea to Sydney, right? It was closed for 10 fucking hours. 10 hours, please. Nothing screams, well, we didn't have a response plan. Louder than that, does it? And I would say that we in the electorate deserve more than this entirely flocked up kind of response. This incident, which was purely accidental and in no way that I can see malicious, highlights 2 serious interconnected lapses by regulatory arseholes to whom we pay healthy 6-figure salaries, mainly, it would seem, to use their arses as little more than an overpriced executive chair polishing system. Problem 1. It's pretty easy, potentially, to disrupt an entire city, isn't it? You know, when you think about it. And problem 2, since there's clearly no fucking plan to deal with even one isolated incident such as this, an accidental one, imagine the unfettered chaos potentially caused by a properly coordinated attack. That's pretty clear, given the Keystone Cops response painted across everyone's news feeds Friday night and Saturday morning. This report is sponsored by NordVPN. Get big savings plus 4 extra months of Nord for free right now in Nord's exclusive birthday deal. Go to nordvpn.com/AEJC. Online security threats are everywhere, but you do not have to be the next victim. That's where NordVPN comes in, locking everything down efficiently in the background. Go to nordvpn.com/AEJC now. Every 2-year NordVPN plan receives that huge discount, plus a coupon that entitles you to 6 free months, which you can use to extend your subscription, or you can even give it to a friend. nordvpn.com/AEJC. Link in the description. Using NordVPN is easy. Just subscribe, download the app and connect. One click later, your IP address is shielded and your traffic will be encrypted across as many as 6 of your devices. Nord is the fastest VPN on the planet. It costs only about as much as 1 cup of coffee every month to keep your data, your identity and your devices secure. Masking your location means you'll be able to access streaming and other services that might be blocked where you live. Plus, you can continue to watch your favourite content when you travel. Go to nordvpn.com/AEJC now. Boost your security, get that huge discount and enjoy those extra months completely free. It's all totally risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. It's easy to stay safe online. Just visit nordvpn.com/AEJC now. Up front, let me say that I am not in the business of giving terrorist assholes any bright ideas. In any case, they already have plenty of those. They learn about them at terrorist university and they have brainstorming sessions with like-minded assholes every evening over dinner. That's written into their code of conduct, like it's who they are. They are among us, it would seem. So this video can in no way be construed as letting some frickin' cat out of the bag for criminal masterminds of this nature. Malignant criminal scumbags already look at anywhere people, businesses, cities, whatever, are vulnerable. Like, it's what they do. And unfortunately, on Truck-O-Flock Friday, they got an A-grade case study, didn't they? Imagine 10 or 12 flock trucks distributing their flocked up contents in a coordinated way at logistic choke points. Perhaps while some other nefarious main game was going on. That's pretty chilling when you think about it, coordinated attacks of this nature. We engineers typically look for systematic failure modes, and we mainly do this to stop them from happening. And I would suggest that this video is that. Of course, it's up to our regulators to have those countermeasures in place in advance for foreseeable vulnerabilities such as these. As voters, I'm pretty sure we all kind of expect that. Our taxes are meant to pay for this kind of thing. And it's pretty clear that militarily, if you want to attack a city, like, what do? If the 20th century's main conflicts taught us anything at all, what you do is you disrupt the transport, you turn off the lights, and you take out the water. That seems to be quite effective. Transport is therefore one of the big three, and Osama bin Laden in hell is doubtless sitting there nodding his agreement on that one, don't you think? Unfortunately, if the pandemic taught me anything, it's that elected officials and other senior bureaucrats who fillet them, metaphorically, are often overwhelmingly ineffective, incompetent douchebags. So let's meet them, shall we? Let's see who's keeping transport safe and secure in Sydney. This is Premier Chris Minns. He's the new Gladys, if you like. Red Gladys, whatever. Doesn't matter. The buck stops with Red Gladys. He's basically inoffensive, I'd say. I suppose you could trust him to mind the local kebab shop, but run a state? Really? Keep you and your family safe? Please. Red Gladys has an arts degree and a master's of public policy. Directly underneath him, so to speak, is Jenny Aitchison. She's the roads minister. Now, roads, and I've been following this for some time, many years. In fact, roads is a portfolio typically given to a junior burger minister. What you do is you prick tease them that if they don't fuck roads up too badly, they might get a real portfolio down the track, like health or something. Ms. Jenny also has an arts degree and a graduate diploma in applied psychology, so that's perfect. I don't know how she feels about that, but she sure as fuck would want to, I would argue. As an aside, if NASA had another Apollo 13 style disaster, I would estimate that there's absolutely zero risk of these two getting called up to figure out just how to get the crew back. Just saying, dude, like I am sniffing a distinct absence of STEM in New South Wales Cabinet. But if you want a couple of, I don't know, personal opinion, ineffective losers to rubber stamp some seatbelt detection cameras to raise even more revenue from the golden goose that is essentially the law-abiding motorist, then these two might be a really, really good fit. It's hard to have respect though, isn't it? Having a proper emergency services response in place for a coordinated, malicious version of Friday's all-flucked-up freeway fiasco. Not so much, it seems. The New South Wales Shitsville Minister for Police and Counter-Terrorism, as if they're two fucking different things, is, wait for it, Yasmin Catley. Yazzie. I went to Yazzie's website hoping to see, I don't know, hardcore criminology qualifications, maybe a law degree, something of that nature. Call me old-timey. But instead, I got this. Before entering politics, Yasmin had spent most of her working life in local council and federal department libraries. That's as close to an education section as I could find. Presumably she's a librarian, although they don't actually make this claim on her, About Yazzie page, at least that I could find. Like a librarian as opposed to someone haphazardly loitering in various random public libraries waiting to get elected in 2015 or something. Is politics the only gig where qualifications really don't count, like at all? Like if Rio fucking Tinto were looking for a CEO, would they expect to see relevant qualifications and perhaps even mining experience or something? Might you therefore be insufficiently qualified to run a giant fuck-off mining company, but quite okay to run law enforcement and counter-terrorism for 6 million people? Any librarian might aspire to doing that. And to me, that's dead interesting and not a little concerning. I also went out and asked ChatGPT for the map of Yazzie's qualifications, so to speak, as a last resort. Chatbot replied, quote, "Specific details about her academic qualifications are not publicly documented." Oh dear. Probably no criminology master's degree or something languishing under that big fat stack of Vogue crapper magazines in the cabinet ministerial dunnies then, on the balance of probability. And I've got nothing against librarians, dude. Like, we used to need them before every library on earth was essentially connected to your phone. But steady hand on the counter-terrorism tiller, I'm just not seeing that. Working hard with arts degree and quasi-psychologist over on roads to keep us all safe. What a fucking relief. But surely the cops, right? They must be a beacon of strength and empowerment, right? Neddy Smith always seemed to think so, didn't he? Like whenever he needed a shoulder to lean on, Sergeant Rogerson was right there for him, right? Karen Webby, is the police commissioner. Not the one I pissed off so memorably on air on Radio 2UE either. And all I'll say on that is full-blown tantrums from ministers and commissioners, etc., are the best tantrums you will ever see. The skin, so impossibly wafer thin. Highly entertaining, especially if you get a front row seat, which I did on that occasion. It was awesome. Now, Spider, as Ms. Webb is probably known, except possibly to her face, except by really, really good friends, is a former commander of the universally cherished New South Shitsville Highway Patrol. First ever chick to run the jury wreckers. So called by every non-jury wrecker in blue, because every time a jury gets convened to put away some properly evil and or violent scumbag, the jurors think back to their last 3 cop interactions, which are invariably poor ones at the roadside, if you're a law-abiding citizen, And it just fucks the jury, dude, by prejudicing them against the Crown, because every cop they met recently is an arsehole. That's how this works. This jury-wrecking label was not administered upon the Highway Patrol by the public. Other cops call them that. So, being the biggest in that jury-wrecking command of professional and a chick at the same time is a real oxymoronic achievement. Like, dude, this is the branch of the cops specifically devoted to undermining vestigial faith in law and order held by ordinary law-abiding citizens. It's what they do in practice. If a normal person got put in charge of the Highway Patrol, the first order of business would be, henceforth, you pricks will concentrate only on serious offenders. Blowing, I don't know, .153 while already disqualified in an unregistered car. Doing 120 in a school zone with 2 unrestrained kiddies in the back. Certainly throw the book at assholes of this nature. But 70 in a 60 zone, that deserves a warning, because every K-over is not a killer. That's just fucked up advertising. Give everyone else a warning. Try to unprick yourselves, Highway Patrol. Be helpful for a change. It's really not that hard. I could write that policy in the next 5 frickin' minutes, dude. At least Spider is actually a qualified police officer with the police medal, no less. Not some, I don't know, arts graduate or would-be psychologist librarian type. But I don't think that medal was awarded for her most recent accomplishment. Not for protecting systematic vulnerability of critical state infrastructure. It's still quite incredible when you think about it. Ms. Webb cleverly managed to buy 50 bottles of gin from one of her best mates, the owner of Hope Estate, on the taxpayer. Yes, on the fucking taxpayer. Like, you go, girl. This is what an honorary PhD in self-entitlement looks like, in my opinion. 50 bottles of taxpayer-funded gin. It's a hell of a taxpayer-funded bogan martini, isn't it? 50! That's almost 40 litres. That's a big martini. A bogan martini is where you open a bottle of gin and you drink it in a flannelette shirt with a mullet. No glass is necessary, dude. It's kind of optional. You could strain it through the bottom of string bikini if you want to keep it, kind of classy. And a little bamboo umbrella might be nice for the ladies, Narelle and Shazza. The Law Enforcement Conduct Commission found no evidence of serious gin-fueled misconduct in any of this, of course. But they did impute that the gin queen should have disclosed being besties with the distiller. They recommended that regular reminders go out to ordinary cops about disclosing conflicts of interest, but there was no evidence that any lesser cops were emptying bottle-os on the taxpayer. In my view, of course, they should have imposed mandatory detention for a month at Specsavers, because, to me, if the state's top cop can't see how fucking bad this looked, well, ordinary bifocals aren't going to cut it, are they? The Commissioner's gin was apparently, according to Her Royal Highness the Queen of Bogan Martinis, intended for visiting dignitaries and charity purposes. Amazing. Alcoholics Anonymous would have been thrilled, I'm sure. Would the dignitaries not have been, better served, perhaps with a gold-plated and Diamante-encrusted truncheon or something, a memento like that, maybe with a set of instructions on where and how to insert it, autographed by the Commissioner? Dear Archbishop, please accept Liberace's truncheon with my sincere thanks, together with these handwritten instructions regarding its operational deployment. In the event of any confusion, there's a diagram on page 3, and I know it looks like it won't fit, but trust me, dude, it will. There's a good chap. Thanks so much for visiting. Of course, after this alcohol-fueled shit sandwich was oxygenated and oxygenated in the press, Her Royal Highness cracked down so hard on future purchases of alcohol on the taxpayer. Zero tolerance policy, dude. Said crackdown probably wasn't all that hard to implement. She being the main offender and all, could have had that training session in the frickin' shower before work. Hopefully sober. Remaining taxpayer-funded gin was donated to charities, but probably not Alcoholics Anonymous. And no imputation whatsoever is made that any of the vestigial commissioner's gin stash from her bestie was ever intended for personal consumption, heaven forbid, because clearly that would be unprincipled. There's absolutely no evidence for that whatsoever. The problem with our society is pretty clearly that out here in the masses, we've been indoctrinated to expect to get pinged routinely by out-of-control roadside surveillance cameras, often for trivial transgressions. Or we'll cop a parking fine on the chin for getting back, 5 minutes late, often because the state couldn't run the train system properly. Meanwhile, the cop on his mobile phone while driving, well, he can ping you for being on yours and behind the wheel at the same time, which is not like some massive fucking double standard or anything, is it? They actually have an exemption for that because clearly their cognitive cop superpowers mean that it's just not dangerous for them to be watching online porn on their phones while driving. But if you do it, that is socially irresponsible and reckless, right? For trivial offences, the prosecutorial zeal is fucking astonishing. It's almost like they're addicted to the revenue, isn't it? And those at the top maintain their extremely cushy six-figure jobs by basically bullshitting everyone else about road safety or whatever, thus keeping the golden floodgates open. We can all see it. It's just that not enough people say it out loud. Meanwhile, at the other end of the spectrum, if you're a multinational gas cartel arsehole or a coal giant or something, or a literal highway robbery institution like Transurban, for example, dodging tax or otherwise leeching off the taxpayer isn't something you merely get away with while some blind eye is turned. It's legislated in. Billionaires in our society don't really ever need to worry about having to pay proportionately more taxation than garbos or builders' labourers in the formerly lucky country, do they? Billionaires quite secure. We further expect regulations to protect us from, some dodgy microwave oven burning the house down or something. We've actually got regulations in place about how hot the hot water can be coming out of the faucet, for fuck's sake. There are regulations about how much dry frickin' ice you can store in a warehouse. It's 1,000 kilos or 1,000 litres maximum, which is UN 1845, Group 5, Class 9 dangerous goods regulations. Don't quote me on that. I think that's the one. But plans, policies and regulations dealing with a coordinated attack on the road system? Like, Jesus. I can't be the only one hearing that. We've got evidence that there are no plans for that. Like, it happened last Friday. There is no fucking plan, or if there is, they failed to implement it, or it was ineffective. Pick whatever box you like, dude, but I'm going with no plan. We've got politicians with, at best, arts degrees running the state, minding the counter-terrorism shop and administering the roads. And we've got a seemingly functionally blind police commissioner who seems quite generous indeed if you're a truncheon-collecting visiting dignitary, like Liberace's truncheon for you, Liberace's truncheon for you. It's like Oprah kind of thing, isn't it? She's not otherwise that helpful, personal opinion. Countermeasures for the systematic vulnerability of the road system to a well-planned attack designed to stall the biggest city in the nation, Why would we bother with something as ambitious as that? It all seems like such hard work. Furthermore, flock isn't highly enriched uranium or weapons-grade plutonium or some other functionally impossible to procure or manufacture substance, is it? It's not even drums full of chemical precursors, right? Flock is so easy. Shredded scrap steel costs about 20 cents a kilo. I just checked. Dude, facts are facts. I understand why they can't be asked even. Like, this is big stuff. It's hard stuff. It's STEM stuff, isn't it? You have to pay attention to solve problems such as this. It's not just a everyone gets an arts degree proposition. And at the top, they're already overloaded with important priorities, aren't they? They've got a race course to redevelop in New South Wales. That's important. And there's that $2 billion error in the budget because they counted the $1 billion in the metro redevelopment thingy twice. Like, oh, sorry about that. And after lunch, of course, there's a photo opportunity with the left-handed vegans named Anita, who also want to identify as Cats Society. Nothing wrong with that. It's a real opportunity to talk up systemic discrimination in society because everyone seems to be against them. None of them has time to address trivialities such as infrastructure security, do they, seemingly? You might want to send the Premier an email on that, or the librarian or the psychologist, or all three. I urge people to get more involved in the political process. And incidentally, if you want to do that, the way to do it is to go and see your local member and say, not good enough. Run it up the flagpole, dude. Because I doubt a senior minister would even read an email from a member of the public. They'd have some intern just sending out pro forma responses endlessly. In the meantime, welcome to New South Shitsville. And I say this from the bottom of my heart, because right now, that also means welcome to Country.